Hey out there. Day 4, I think, of my D&D videos. Um, Today I wanted to talk about making things for your players, and some of the greatest joys I've actually had in this game is when I have like a person who's playing my game, and there's something that they're interested in, or that I can tell that they would really like, and being able to make that for them in the story. It's kind of incredible to kind of, it's like a gift in a really like specific sort of way. Oh, hey, sorry, just doing a video. In a really specific sort of way to make something that all the little details about it are really going to tantalize them, and they're going to want to explore it. So it's like opening up, it's like giving them a really nice toy that was made just for them and only exists in their imagination. Like, what a cool thing to be able to give someone. So, I, I could talk about examples. I don't know if that would be useful, or if just talking about it in the abstract is useful. Um, I guess I can't really think about anything else to say, so I can talk about the examples. It's like if you see an item that you know that your players are interested in, but maybe you haven't given it enough depth, I highly recommend getting an idea for what you think that item could be, and then Googling similar things that people have used. So, like, if they find a book of magic, like looking at sort of sample pieces or looking at the Dungeon Master's Guide to see what other, like, magical books they've made. Is it a good line book? Is it a bad line book? Is it a nature book? Is it about something that creates creatures like golems, and add as many details as possible that still are balanced for your game. Don't give them anything too crazy. Trust your gut, and maybe um, like a system where some things punish them and other things reward them when they use this item. Um, and Yeah, there's a good section of the Dungeon Master's Guide on artifacts, which I super recommend checking out because it'll give you this really powerful artifact that'll give the player some new ability, like the ability to fly or contact a god at any point, or like just a very potent weapon with like a huge bullet pointed list of like, and it does this and this and this and this and this and this, and like, really can. It's an opportunity to be really thematic also. If it's like a dwarven belt or hammer that you want to give to someone, and you know that dwarves are going to be a big deal in the campaign, that's a huge boost that you're giving them. It's like a ton of synergy and a ton of power that all of a sudden you're handing this player. And then adding in the aspect of like what sort of detriments might the item have or drawbacks. Like if it's this dwarven thing, maybe it makes them like exceptionally proud, or like they have like built-in animosity to elves or orcs or something. Like something that's like a bit of a drawback. Like they grow body hair all over their body. I mean, that's kind of neat, really. Um, so I mean, trust your judgment, and there's actually a list in there in the artifacts section, which again, highly recommend checking out, that has like minor detriments that the artifact might have, such as like, I don't know, destroys holy water within 30 feet of it, or all animals are hostile to creatures attuned to this artifact. And then it has some major detriments like causing disfigurations, or like falling deeply ill, or changing your alignment from like good to evil, um, or just like it's a lot of these things. There's so much room to play with these things, and they're going to be so powerful and so interesting and fit into your story so well if you write them in a good way that the players will indulge in them. They will do whatever kind of the item tells them to do or something. It's a little bit like if you're a fan of Harry Potter and Tom Riddle's notebook would be an excellent example of an item that you could give to a player. Build a rapport with that player, send them text messages or emails in between the games to build up like that dialogue between the artifact and the player, and it's going to affect the story. Like it's going to feed them, and it's going to feed you too. So that's the great thing about gifts is they're kind of like it's like what Emerald Lagasse is like, bam, kick it up a notch, like that's gonna hook people for sure, and it's gonna affect them in ways that from an acting standpoint, like they might not even know how much it's gonna affect their behavior. So, and the choices that they're gonna make down the road. So I don't know if I can explain that in a super clear way. I guess I'll use the example that I have now. Maybe it'll help you. So I have a player who's a rogue who found a book, and this book is a book of... By the way, guys, if you're in my party and you're watching this, I'm just going to tell you, you might not want to continue if you're concerned about knowing what's going to happen, because I'm about to say everything this book does, okay? Or a significant amount. So with this book, you got your big book of evil. It has a name on the front that's unrecognizable. I know what that name represents. It fits into the story. But the book is clearly evil just by its appearance. I took this book directly from the Dungeon Master's Guide. The official title for this book is The Book of Vile Darkness. And it's beautiful in how horrible it is. So the first thing that it does is it lists you all of the abilities that it gives you. Animate Dead, first level. Animate Dead, or whatever, third level? I don't know what. Third level, and then Animate Dead, fifth level. And then Dominate Monster, DC 17, which is really potent. Knowledge, advantage on knowledge checks for evil. And proficiency in Arcana, which is like magic. So what I did was I got that whole list together of stuff that it did, and I sent that to my player so that he could be like, oh wow, that's what this book does. However, it's clearly evil. Like whatever it's doing is not kosher. The blood on the pages, torn ink, mad scrawlings, kind of demonic invitations all over the place in the writing of the book. So it's clear that it's evil, and in order to attune to this book, the character has to kill someone of his alignment, which was chaotic neutral. So in order to use any of those abilities, he's got to start doing what this book wants him to do. So it builds up this relationship, and my player really likes it. I mean, I don't think we've had a session where he hasn't actively used it. And of course, it creates this great dramatic element of like, well, you can't use that. Like, that thing's horrible, and indulging in evil. So it's led me down the road, led us all down the road of an evil campaign, which is, it's awesome. I mean, that would have never happened if I hadn't crafted this gift for him. So I encourage you, when you look at your world and you look at things on a big scale, and you think that there's a place where you can put in like a big item, or a big drop that's going to develop a relationship, you can do that. And you don't just have to do it with magical items. Another great way to do it is with a mission from a very specific quest giver, and make it personal. So make it about who that character is. Make it about their story. Make it about what's important to them, and communicate in a language that makes sense. And do it in the context of whatever that character created. So if I have someone who is part of like a secret agency, and I want to give them something, have the secret agency write them this mission and give them all the details and then say, don't share this with anybody. And that is going to set them up in a big way for how to behave and the goals that they're going to want to accomplish throughout this story. And it's going to fuel them. It's going to put fire in their body when they play. And that's what we want. We want everyone to be alive at the table and like invested in this story. You know, it's a huge blessing to be able to give that to your players. And to experience it and have that kind of a rapport with them. So it's totally possible that the player also won't pick it up, in which case, like, okay, that was clearly not what they needed or what they wanted. So reassess it, trust your intuition. I think intuition is really the best skill that a dungeon master can have. I mean, anyone can learn rules, but learning how to read people and know what makes people tick, like your players themselves, and then who they are through their characters. Again, I mean, I sometimes get lost in my own perspective of Dungeons and Dragons. I realize that other people do not take this at such like a concerted level, at such like from such a deep place. You're just like around the table to have fun and play with rules and stuff, and I am sure that there's a channel out there for you. It is just not what I'm going to be dishing out. I am much more interested in kind of everything I've been talking about in turning people on and activating everyone's imaginations and creating like a really strong investment in the tale. So that's what I've got to say. If this sparked any ideas for you or any old stories, I would love to hear them. I am so into that. So send me like a private message or, you know, put it like comment it or something like that. Because this sort of stuff is definitely like the meat of the game in a big way. So that's what I've got for you. I'm actually going to get back to writing one of those GIFs right now for one of my players. So yeah, have a good night, and I love you all, and God bless, my friends.